All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? My name is Wayne Dupree, and we are live. It is December 1st, 2025. Welcome to the show. Glad that you are here with us once again here on the Wayne Dupree Show, broadcasting on the Ray Voice Media Network. That's right. Don't forget to check out rvmnews.com and also follow on Rumble. If you are on this channel right now, you need to add RVM News on Rumble so that you can see the stories and all the things that they are doing over there. Now, we definitely have Christmas. We definitely have a lot to talk about. Looks like we're going to war. But let me bring in my co-host from Minnesota, Mr. Jason Robinson.
Hey, folks. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Wayne Dupree podcast. Hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving and get out there Cyber Monday, get your Christmas shopping done. Wayne, how soon are you going to have your Christmas shopping wrapped up?
Can't afford Christmas. Not right now. I can't. I'm short. You know how people you say money's funny? That's what it is. Money's funny.
Wayne's living in the funny money.
Yeah, it's funny money. Yep. I ain't got it like some people, Jay. But I'm making it though. I'm making it. Yeah, Christmas is right around the corner. I was talking with a bill collector this morning, and they asked me about some stuff, and I was like, well, yeah, my mom passed away last year, and she would have been 100 this year.
Jeez, that's crazy.
I didn't really think about it until I was talking to the collector, but I didn't realize she would have been 100 in 19 days. As a matter of fact, ain't that crazy? Wow, 100 years.
Yeah, it's funny. We get together with friends every other week for lunch on Saturday, and his mom, her birthday's on like New Year's Eve. She's going to be 91, and it's just fascinating to talk to her about just how much the world has changed, what all things are different. And yeah, it's amazing. People, your mom and Shirley, the gal, like they are living their last years or lived their last years in a way different country than they were born in. It's pretty
and that's bad. At the time I would ask my mom, I would ask her, like, where were you when John F. Kennedy got shot? Or where were you when Martin Luther King got shot? What were you doing when Robert F. Kennedy got shot? What were you doing when Malcolm X got murdered up in New York? All those things, because, ladies and gentlemen, My mom was around when they didn't even have TV.
Yeah, think of that.
She was around the era that they didn't even have TV, or I don't even think she was around. Well, yeah, she's around the era when I don't think women could really even drive to start off with,
No. There were limitations on what the females could do.
Yeah, I mean, that was the era of the radio. I mean, that was that. I mean, people used to sit around their front rooms and turn on the radio and live through that type of imagination, which is honestly, I wish that's what we still have. Well, not the radio part, but I just wish that the kids today would have imagination, because they don't have any imagination anymore. Yeah, and that's one thing that I wanted to get. We'll talk about it a little bit later about a report that came out about these kids. I'm not going to say that I thought that I didn't see it coming. And it's not speaking to all kids; it's just speaking to kids that took part in a poll. But basically I probably call it the Bernie Sanders effect. They rallied around Bernie Sanders when Bernie was around, and Bernie just quit. So, I mean, no, I got to be truthful. He wasn't going to win anyway, but he quit. he did quit.
He got the book deal.
Yeah, he quit. And,
Hillary said, "You're not going to push this. We're doing super delegates.
Yeah.
You just get over there, Bernie."
Yeah. But President Trump is meeting with his people later on this afternoon, and in the White House, it looks like they're going to war with Venezuela. I guess they're going to war with Venezuela in South America.
Here's what I think is funny about this whole situation. One, if you look at Donald Trump, term 1 and term 2 thus far, and I am an isolationist. I don't want us involved in any of this stuff. So full disclosure, let's worry about the USA. But one of, if not his strongest areas, has been his foreign policy. And even like the Iranian strike earlier this year, that has seemed to work out okay thus far. We're not at war with Iran. Everybody got their undies in a bunch. And I because of that, I will cut Donald Trump some slack with whatever they're doing in Venezuela. Now, I think Venezuela is interesting. I mean, it's been a socialist hellhole. Their last election, we talked about on the show, did not seem legitimate. I really wish Trump wouldn't get involved in it. They're trafficking a lot of drugs through there. I think some of the more interesting stuff too is just some of their connection with some of the election software companies, just to keep it clean on the platforms. So I don't know what their infatuation is with Venezuela, but hopefully Donald Trump continues a successful foreign policy run. I don't want to get sucked into any nonsense in these other countries.
My thing is this, and I disagree with the Syria thing in President Trump's first term. I was very out there. I thought that Lindsey Graham and John McCain had something to do with it, and I thought it was just, I didn't think that he needed to do that. I don't know what this is all about. I really don't. I mean, let me keep that really quick. Because I mean, I want to know, are some of the people in the administration afraid of the Sinaloa cartel in Colombia? Because that's who's been doing a whole lot of this stuff. The jungles of Colombia are, I don't understand. I really don't understand about Venezuela thing. I really don't understand. And I tweeted last night, this just gives me shades of Saddam and George W. Bush. And you know, some people are like, Maduro is drugs and Saddam was oil. No, y'all, no, you lost. No, I'm not talking about the oil, and I'm not talking about the drug. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about a country that, let me say it first, a country that elected their dictator, even if they cheated. That's something that they have to take care of. Right. That's something that they have to take care of. And I was against us going into Iraq. So I'm against this Venezuelan thing. I mean, because nobody's really saying anything. It's just they haven't sent, they're saying, okay, well, we are, all right, well, they're sending drugs into the United States. Okay, yeah, doing a good job blowing up these ships.
Oh my God, Pete Higson with the book. Did you see his book tweet?
Let me tell you something.
That was spectacular.
Let me tell you something about Pete. Pete's in trouble. Pete's in trouble. President Trump came out and said, hey, he told me, I believe him. What do you think President Trump was going to say? No. Hey, he told me, I believe him. If something else comes up and President Trump hears about it and he explained to him, then he might distance himself. But it's a he said, she said thing right now. There's no really proof of what they're saying Pete said, or to blow up a ship twice, or don't leave nobody alive.
Yeah, to touch on what Wayne's talking about, a report came out, anonymous, of course, leaked to whomever, that we have been bombing drug ships. And
allegedly, alleged drug ships.
Alleged drug ships. We have been taking them out. And the media, every time they blow up a drug boat, the media scrambles and says, oh, well, it was a fisherman or whatever. None of the stories have taken hold. It hasn't gained the collective consciousness. And I think a lot of Americans are like, people are heading to the U.S. with a boat full of drugs, even if you like, okay, like we just want the drugs quit coming into America. I think overall we are pretty indifferent to how that happens. We just want the drugs to stop getting here. But a report came out that they went to sink a boat and 2 people were holding on to the boat after it blew up, in which case, according to the Geneva Convention, you're supposed to go rescue those people. And the report alleges that Pete just said, no, finish the job and take it out. So I don't know the validity. The White House has disputed it. It's all on there. Personally, I am pro sinking drug boats on the way to the U.S. And it's funny, the left is like you're deporting illegals, they lose their mind. You're sinking drug boats coming to the U.S., they're losing their mind. Like they just don't understand that the world is just full of awful people. It's kind of like
here's
this.
Here's the thing, though, Jason. Reports are about the border that they've really done a great job at the border.
Yeah.
Okay. They've done so. How's the stuff getting in if they've done a great job with the border?
Well, they're still smuggling drugs in across the border. They're doing ships that are coming in illegally.
But they can fix that too if they move.
That's why they're sinking the boats.
No. If they can move our troops and stuff to the border, they can move them to the shipyards too the same way and stop them there. They don't have to go into another country's water space and say you can't fly in your own airspace, and then you can't shoot, and then we're going to just.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend what's happening in Venezuela. I'm not going to take the other side of the argument. I will say, when it comes to bringing stuff into the U.S., if you bring 20 people in for X amount of money, like the people they're bringing in have a monetary value, that's why smugglers are bringing them in. Like, it's a big thing to catch. For my entire life, drugs are getting smuggled across the border. Like, you see it on shows, you see it in different things where people spray it into, they put it in the seats of the car or whatnot. And fentanyl, like one backpack worth of fentanyl is worth tens of thousands, millions of dollars, and could kill a bunch of people. So it's really hard to stop. You have to move up the pipeline, as they say, to stop it more at the source. So, and the problem Trump has is that a lot of these countries, they're not policing the drugs because these countries know the drugs are being sent to America. They're not being sent in their country. So
there was a report, or there are videos now that are coming out, and that's the reason why I brought the border thing up. I did not know this until I saw the video this morning. It's from the Associated Press, actually, but I guess the Border Patrol allowed the video. You know how they put speeding videos and drug videos and theft videos on YouTube and stuff.
yeah.
Well, this got put on there. The U.S. Border Patrol is monitoring millions of not illegals, not immigrants, Americans, driving nationwide through a secretive surveillance program that identifies and detains people whose travel patterns seem suspicious, or who it deems suspicious.
Welcome to the Patriot Act.
The Border Patrol monitor program relies on a network of cameras that scan and record license plate information across American highways. An algorithm then flags vehicles based on where they originated, their designation, and their route that they traveled. Federal agents may alert law enforcement when the system identifies suspicious patterns leading to traffic stops. For a minor infraction like speeding, improper window tint, or even a dangling air freshener. Drivers are pulled over at these stops. Often they have no idea their travel routes triggered the encounter. The program has resulted in searches and arrests with cameras frequently disguised as construction barrels, traffic cones, and other roadside safety equipment to avoid detection. And surveillance is also expanding beyond border zones. And I think in this situation here, I remember when Barack Obama got into office, the Patriot Act fell into his lap. So What happened with that? He didn't shut it down. Nope. He just expanded on it. You know, he was like, wait a minute, y'all just gave me this cookie, and this cookie is worth something, especially with this data and stuff like that. So guess what? It stays in place. I'm not going to say maybe this is part of the Patriot Act, I guess, but
it is. It's tied to it.
Yeah.
Any of your domestic surveillance stuff that you see kind of has an indirect link to the Patriot Act. And for those who don't know, the Patriot Act, like the most egregious part is it gives like Kevin Bacon. You know, there's that thing like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon where, you know, like 7 people down, somebody knows Kevin Bacon, you know, where like, oh, I'm friends with Bob, and Bob's cousin knows Joe, and Joe's uncle knows who, and his nephew did his carpet, you know. And Patriot Act kind of does the same thing for 3 levels, where, so if you watch the Wayne Dupree podcast and you know somebody that watches, you know somebody, that person, even though they've never been connected with Wayne, if it comes out Wayne was up to no good with Al Qaeda, then that 3rd level person who's never even heard of Wayne can be surveilled. That's kind of the crux of the problem with the Patriot Act. So, and it allows for surveillance of American citizens, and it's, so they use it in all sorts of creative ways and with the data that we have now. But it's interesting. Part of the problem is, like, if I were made King Jason for the day, like foreign people distributing drugs in America, you're caught, you're busted, you're guilty. We drag you out in the public square. We just hang you. Here, you know, public hangings, public executions, that kind of thing. And you just keep doing that. until people get the message this just isn't tolerated in America. But if they're just going to get a slap on the wrist when you bust them, you have to go through all these steps to prosecute them or whatnot, and then they still get off. Like, I mean, we don't punish crime, so why are we shocked that people keep committing them?
Yeah. The going to move just for a quick, just for a brief moment about this dude that shot at National Guard last week. It looks like the narrative that is trying to be pushed out there now is that there were emails that warned about this dude's erratic behavior a couple of months ago.
Yep.
And I'm going to let you talk about Cash Patel in a second.
Don't make me get my book.
Cash. You have to see when they talk about national intelligence, okay, you want to think national intelligence has the best and brightest. For real. Or you would hope that it would have the best and brightest, helping to monitor and take care of the country. Or at least that's why they were created. Or at least that's what we were told. That's what we were told. That that's their job. But when it comes to these individuals that slip through the crack, well, you know what? I don't even know if they slip through the cracks. So many of these people that do all this stuff have been on the radar of somebody.
Oh yeah, it always comes out there on the radar.
They're on the radar. A couple of others before Trump took office at the beginning of this year, there were many times that individuals had been questioned by the FBI and let go. I mean, here's a smart thing. If they were questioned by the FBI, don't let it get out. Why are you going to let it get out? Because then you're really making yourself look idiotic and crazy. For them to say that this dude was on the radar a couple of months ago and they didn't do nothing, somebody else need to go to jail. Somebody else need to go to jail. Because if you're going to let this dude off, and Jason, I'll hand it over to you. If anybody's going to let this dude off a couple of months ago after seeing erratic behavior, and then this dude is going to commit what he did, that makes you an accessory to the crime. Jason, go.
America, in its founding principles, was if you have a good and just and honorable people, that's what the system was built on. And we built a lot of anti-corruption, innocent until proven guilty, all those sorts of things that were predicated on a certain quality caliber of person living in America. And we also early in our life had like much more severe. I mean, when the country was founded, horse thieves got hung. Like, oh, you stole Bob's horse? Okay. All right. It was a good run,
And sometimes they didn't even have court.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We saw you steal Bob's horse. That was a good run. Now we've gone so far the other way because you don't want the state abusing surveillance or prosecution. The fact is, all these nut jobs that they see, that they interview or whatnot, they have no probable cause to hold them. That's just the way the legal system is. How many times do you see these like horrible crimes committed and they're like, oh, they were arrested 76 times? It's like you're just not punishing any of the criminals at the end. So, because of the way our society's structured, you're not going to, until somebody does something horrible. Now, my argument with these Afghanistani people, and I'll need some help from our veterans. Afghan has a society that is incompatible with America. Strict Muslim society. They got all kinds of crazy stuff like Bakabazi. I read a ton of accounts of people that served in Afghanistan, And there were two awful sides that are incompatible with America that were fighting. And we picked one of them. We thought, oh, this one will be better for us. Doesn't mean they were compatible with America. Doesn't mean they should have been Americans. And the stories that the veterans will tell of things they saw or witnessed or had to look the other way for, and everybody said, oh, that's just their culture. Like, that's horrible. Like these were, neither one of these sides do we want in America. So we spend billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars to help try to overthrow the Taliban, just to give Afghanistan back to the Taliban. And then we have all these awful people that, awful by American standards, by their standards, are fine. They just have an entirely different culture, incongruent with America. And then they say, oh, they're our allies, we got to bring them in. Well, that's why we shouldn't have been there in the first place, folks. Exactly. It is not like this side, the side who we chose to be friends with. It's not like they fit American values and they were capitalists and they believed in women's rights and all the things we believe. They didn't believe in any of that. Then we bring these folks in and they're radical Islamics and they don't belong in the country. Like, let them go back to their home. I mean, and I am like full scale, like, I think like Somalis. I'll even say people who think Israel is more important than America. Like, if America's not your number one focus, go. Don't need you. Don't need you as a citizen. Don't need you as a lawmaker. Like America first needs to be the message, needs to be the policy, needs to be what we do.
What is it? What America First is spelled America First, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And even sounds America First. America First.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not a shout out to Nick Fuentes, because I
know right.
brands it.
If it looks like America First, it sounds like America First, and it reads like America First, why is it everybody else first? You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, God, dog. I mean, got to be careful because there's some sensitive people out there, but there's some bad people in the White House, y'all. There's some bad people in the White House right now. And I'm going to say it like this. You go in there and you are very passionate about certain things, and you deliver an argument that sounds good to President Trump, and President Trump just might go along with that way. And now, I'm not saying that he has the crooks that were in there in the first term, but the individuals that are in there right now, Bondi is a complete.
She's a failure.
She's going to be gone before June. I mean, I saw some stuff over the weekend. I tell you, somebody else who's going to be probably, well, I said half of them are going to be gone by the midterms, if not, or by the end of the year next year. I tell you another one, Noam is going to be gone too. Noam's going to be gone. Cash might be gone, or Bongino might be gone. Because if they aren't gone, watch this now. If they aren't gone, they are going to be, like I said, and the midterms go to the Democrats. There's going to be a bloodbath with these investigations. And once again, the Democrats aren't going to get anything done at all. No legislation, nothing, because they're going to be doing investigations. They're going to be trying to put people in jail, which they aren't going to put people in jail, but they're going to be trying to make it look so bad for the 2028 election.
Yeah, Donald Trump's got to go in there. And like his takeaway from term one had to be Democrats didn't stop me, Republicans stopped me.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought he had enough American first people in the House, in the Senate. Clearly, we don't. Clearly, it is still run by the awful Republican Party of John McCain and Mitt Romney. The Republicans are not your friends. And then even his direct staff, I mean, he had time to pick people, and he's picked some decent ones like Tom Homan. Pretty happy with what Homan's doing. Rubio, I think Rubio's doing a lot of pretty solid things.
He is.
You know, there's been some okay picks, but you know, for me, it just comes out like today they removed that Alina Habba, or however you pronounce her name, from her role, and the root cause is because the frickin' Senate won't approve her. And this is why the Republicans Party is dead. This is why the Republican right now, it's shaping up poorly. We've got that election tomorrow in Tennessee that we'll probably talk about tomorrow.
Who's ahead?
What's that?
Who's ahead in that one? The Republican?
It's a coin flip.
Is it?
And this is an area that was Trump plus 20. But I think your average American voters who voted for Trump, they didn't vote for Republicans. They voted for Trump in a lot of cases. And I think when they see, you know, you know, they see these Republican members of the House, the Senate, that kind of stuff, and they're like, well, why am I going to go bust my butt to go elect this person? Like, you know, like Republican Party sucks. Like, there are just not enough quality Republican people.
You know what? You brought up, and ladies and gentlemen, write down what Jay just said, because it makes so much sense, and I've made that argument years ago. But make sure that you at least mark it down what he just said. To be honest, Trump isn't on the ballot.
Yep.
So the Republicans who haven't done anything all year.
Yep.
And the Doge cut to tell you that. I mean, they even shut down the Doge stuff last week or the week before last.
And there's
shut it down early.
Stuff going on, but it's not what it said they'd be.
Yeah, they shut it down early from but the Republicans aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So why would voters look to even be motivated, invigorated to vote in the midterms if the people that's in there aren't doing their stuff? And maybe that's by design.
It is.
Troy Niels is leaving.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Seems to be. I mean,
he wants his brother to take the place, his twin brother.
How weird will that be?
What's up with these twins? You had the Vinmans and now you got the Neils, man. I mean, come on.
It's funny, for as much as we hate aristocracy in America, no kings and all that.
Yeah.
If you look at how many people in the House or Senate, like a House seat or a Senate seat stays in the family for like 5 generations, it's hysterical. It's like, we don't like the aristocracy. And then it's like, oh yeah, their great granddad had that House seat. It's stupid.
One Democrat had his seat for 55 years.
Yep.
55
Nancy Pelosi's
years.
daughter's gonna run for the House.
Are you serious?
I've just heard that she's
the movie director
committee, and like, come on.
I'll tell you what, I don't think anybody in our lifetime of what we have left is going to do what Nancy Pelosi did in the House.
No. I said it. Nancy Pelosi is the most effective House Speaker of my lifetime.
Bad.
That girl was a gangster.
Yeah. She had the House under her broom. So I mean, just looking at for the midterms, and I mean, honestly, it's December 1st, and everybody's thought pattern needs to start changing right now. It has to change to the midterms, because the primaries are getting ready to come up for next year's midterm. The primaries, people, just that fast. And with that, then you get general in November. These things keep going. These things keep going. They don't stop. And when they come back from, well, actually, they're here They're here in Congress for I think they might not be back because I saw Johnson out there on the road.
I think they come back tomorrow, if I remember right.
Okay, so they come back tomorrow, and I think they got a week or two, and then they're gone again until beginning of the year.
Yep. I think they have 136 days in session in next year's calendar. I remember looking at it and counting it and going, that's not a lot of days. Which I'm okay with. I don't want the government to do much.
I don't either. But they knew it. That's the thing. To me, they knew it. They knew that if they could ride it out, stall. They knew if they could get these, what's the word when you go to court and you continuous? If they could get those continuances, they ain't got to do nothing.
As things are shaping up right now, the Republican Party is going to get stomped in the midterms and get stomped in 2028. And I'm the most positive, glass half full guy you will ever meet. I am the look on the bright side of things. The fact of the matter is, our average Republican is not going to push forward a legislative agenda that aligns with Donald Trump's vision, which aligns with, for the most part, an America First vision. And I mean, we can discuss nuance of some things he's done or hasn't done, but they're just not going to do it. And because of that, I mean, think of this, like socialism, which is the most failed political system ever.
Yep.
It's 0 for 45. Every time it's been implemented, it's led to horrible things, if not full-on communism. It has never worked. So for 40, and you've got people that are devout socialists, and now you're seeing they're just taking the mask off. Some are like, oh yeah, I'm really a communist, and they're just coming out and like, how did we let this happen in America? You know, well, we bring in all these third worlders who tend to share those values, like, oh, socialism is going to be great. And we don't teach kids. Like kids don't know. They think the biggest mass murderer in the history of mankind is Hitler. Hitler. Everybody knows everything about Hitler. They don't realize that like Mao and Lenin killed twice as many people as Hitler. And it was all driven by socialism and communism. Yeah. And it just drives me bananas, you know.
His got a story on the dupryreport.com that is coming out right after the show. But Jason, there was a poll about young people. And basically saying that the teens distrust news media, and it's at an alarming rate on how much that they distrust. 84% between the ages of 13 and 18 found that 84% responded with negative words when it came to describe today's media. Biased, crazy, boring, fake, bad, depressing, confusing, scary. These are the words that came out when we talk about news. Look, listen, when I grew up, I love history. I love the news, even though Ronald Reagan, when I was a kid, wasn't my, I didn't like him. But to see Washington back there at that time, to look at how TV was, to look at Congress the way it was something to, wow, this is something. This is, and to see the cars line up for gas before Trump got in, to see the hostages over in Iran with the things on their faces and stuff like that, to see the GOP convention and the DNC convention back then with all those banners and stuff. News to me was something to behold. I loved it, and to see the young, and I don't fault them. I don't fault them. But what I worry about is if they don't take an interest, or if they don't have an interest in it, what happens when they become adults? That's the thing. Okay, well, will you be looking for the truth? And I don't know how many times me and Jason have been talking about the AI. By the time they really get around, they will know what the truth really is.
I've been waiting for this topic. So Wayne made the studio last night, and then Rumble sends out the email, like the notification. And Jen and I were sitting there, and I'm like, ooh, look what we're going to talk about. And I read Jen the headline, and it says teens distrust the news media 84%, cites bias and fake news. And I go, oh, interesting topic. There was some study that came out on that, hun. And she goes, and I'm like, what's your take, Jen Robb from Minnesota? And Jen says, I'm surprised the number's not higher.
Really?
And I said, well, that's interesting. What do you mean by that? And she's like, how many times do you have to see stories, narratives that just aren't true until you realize the news media isn't the news media? And it makes me question, like, let's say we have so much availability of information, and we have, and imagine if we had that kind of availability in the 20s, 30s, 60s, 70s, even in the 80s, how much of the news we were fed was fake. And I thought of two recent examples. Matt Van Swalb, if you're on Twitter, you see him. He was a Democrat over in the Carolinas when the floods hits. Now he sends too many tweets in all caps. But I saw him this weekend, and he's kind of annoying, but it's kind of fun. I enjoy watching him because he was like full on Democrat, believed everything. And this weekend, he learned that hands up, don't shoot was fake. That like Michael Brown back when all those riots started, he never had his hands up and he never said don't shoot. And it was funny. It was like you could see his brain breaking on Twitter when he's like, wait a second, like he had encapsulated that as written history. That was true. That hands up, don't shoot was a thing. He saw the protests. He went to some protests. None of it was true. The news media was an accomplice in sharing that narrative. Nobody ever stopped and said that's not true. That didn't happen. None of that's in any of the police reports or body cam or any of that. And it was funny just watching his brain just completely break. And it was fascinating. And you wonder, just this whole generation grew up like that. And I mean, to use a case we talked about last week on the show. So they did the student loan changes, and Wayne got pissed and his daughter got pissed because they reclassified nurses not as professionals.
Both daughters.
Now, if the news was doing accurate reporting, they would say they changed this classification so that nurses, it's harder to get 250,000 in debt. They cap it at 120,000. And I mean, that's what they did. They tried to
hold on, wait a minute. Because I mean, I gotta jump in there because they're still going to get into debt because they still have to go out and get the rest of the money for the program. So it's not about them not getting into debt because they have to, or if they want that job. But it is going to cause a lot of people not to go into nursing because they
like I said at the time, nursing
because they don't want to get into. I mean, because they don't want to get that extra loan from a bank.
There were about 15 degrees that got reclassified from professional to non-professional, whatever the next tier is. It wasn't just nursing, is my point.
Right.
They were trying.
I only brought it up because my daughter was a nurse.
Well, that's and this is a point I'm saying about why people don't trust the media. So if you look, the report could have been they reclassified all these degrees as non-professional, hopefully to limit how much people can bury themselves in debt before they, it makes really hard. It's going to bring prices down because the university knows they can't keep charging those exorbitant rates on degrees that aren't going to return a profit. You'll never be able to pay your loans back. That was a purpose. If the news reported it like that, we could have an honest conversation like, oh, wow, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? But instead, they picked the one degree that I think people could be like, oh, maybe you need to go 250,000 in debt to be a nurse, and that's the only one they report on. Like, you don't even know any of the other degrees that changed. And that was the story you were really passionate about. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the news media did it. They did it for clicks. They did it to enrage people. They did it to get people fired up about things. And instead of us having like a reasonable policy discussion, they're talking, people are talking like, oh, nurses should be a professional degree. It's professional. It's like, I mean, and like, people are talking about like all the healthcare stuff. Why does healthcare suck right now? Obamacare. Like Obamacare created this path that we're on, and it's ruined it. So if the news media was being honest, they'd be talking about like, we probably need to redo Obamacare. But instead they're reporting like Republicans are blocking them from doing this. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. Like healthcare is completely, utterly broke. It's screwed. And Obamacare did that. And here's why, and here's how, and how are we going to fix it?
Well, I feel that nursing is a profession, especially after, and I kind of mentioned this last week. My daughter didn't bring saved somebody's life who had flatline, and with their training that she got, that's a profession to me. That's a profession. And I know some people could take that as debt. I don't, but to this point, my daughter isn't that much. My daughter isn't $100,000 in debt either, for her bachelor's of science degree that she has. But to move up though, and I don't believe that the government should be giving that money anyway. I've never changed that. I don't believe that the government should be giving anything out. Now, if the states want to give out grants, I have said that if states want to give money to kids for college, then the kids should be obligated to 4 to 6 year program, almost like the military, 4 to 6 year programs to stay in that state to benefit that state. In a way that even goes for the 600,000 Chinese students or these students that come over here from other countries. Then y'all stay in this country for about 4 to 6 years, and you just can't go right back to China. You just can't go right back to Ukraine and Russia after y'all been given this easy time through processing and H-1B visas and all that stuff. Y'all shouldn't be able just to bolt and leave. Y'all got to put something back into, and I think that's something that's been missing from the United States bloodline for decades, is that people don't put much into the communities or the areas anymore that they come from. A lot of these places are dying off. A lot of the populations are going out. Now, in my case, same thing. I graduated. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to the military.
But here's what I'm saying, if I can interrupt. Everybody's hung up on the frickin' use of the word professional, okay? There was a 1965 law passed that said these are the different layers of degrees, and they just arbitrarily assign the name professional in a law that was passed in 1965. These degrees qualify for higher levels of funding, and those degrees means you can bury yourself in more student loan debt. Okay, that's all it says. So when they changed the classification, they said, okay, you know what? These degrees, we shouldn't let people bury themselves $250,000 in debt. So we're going to bump it down to 120. That's all it changed. Go read the law. It was in the big, beautiful bill. And some of these things would be like, I mean, let me know in the chat. Can anybody else name, other than nursing, a single one of the like 20 degrees that got reclassified? But everybody just wants to talk about nursing is professional. They picked the word in 1965.
Here's the thing,
and it
though.
Just refers to how much debt they can go into. And I mean, like, I was looking at the list, and there was like social workers qualified to go $250,000 in debt. That's ridiculous. No social worker would ever make enough money to pay back $250,000 in debt. That's insane. And so now they're capped at 120.
All I'm saying is that when you have a professional on your label, that makes you.
They didn't change their label, Wayne. They didn't change anything. Nobody changed anything.
Then it diminishes you from even attempting to try to get it, right?
No,
it does.
All it does is it's something that nobody even ever uses. You still get the same degree. You still get the same paper.
No. In a way, you don't, Jason. And throw that word professional out. We're not even going to say that anymore. We're just going to talk about the debt that you keep talking about. Right. That I keep coming back and saying that, again, I don't believe in the government. I don't think the government should have been doing it in the first place. But if a state decides to do it, then for you said that the state was handing out $100,000, $200,000. No, you said the federal government was handing out how much?
If they are a professional degree, they can take up to $250,000.
Okay, all right. So now we're throwing that professional out. Let's say that the government,
if they hit that tier, they get $250,000.
Tier, right? Okay.
Not every tier, not every degree gets to go that high.
You're throwing the tier out.
Yep.
Right?
Throw the tier name out.
Okay. So you're throwing the tier out, you're throwing the money out. There is no more money for that at that level. Is that right?
There are still degrees that qualify for that level of money.
For specific professions.
MD degrees,
that money is not there.
Dentist, optometrist, law degrees,
that money is not there for specific. That money is not there for specific jobs.
Right.
That it used to be. All right, fine. So for a person to get an education for that, they're still going to have to go to a bank and get a loan. That money's, I mean, if they want that job, they're still going to have to pay the difference to get that job. And they're still going into debt. They haven't cleared up anything.
Did your daughter spend $200,000?
They haven't straightened up anything. They haven't straightened up anything, is what I'm saying.
Why can't we cap how much student debt people take out?
We're not. No.
That's all this law change.
We're not talking about the debt, right? I mean, well, actually, in a way, we are talking about the debt because that's how much you're talking about capping the debt. Why don't you cap the degree? Why don't you cap how much it takes to get it? Because you're saying, I mean, again, for what Wayne is saying, these people are saying, I'm not going to go into debt, more debt, or go into debt with a bank loan while because most people, especially if they're going full time, like a couple people that I used to work with or knew, if they're going full time, they aren't working. They're going to school. So if you get a bank loan, you're still going into debt. Right? Yes? No? You're still going into debt. You're not getting away. You might not have to pay the government back, but you got to pay the bank back. So you're still going into debt to get that master's or to get that double whatever it is. Because that's how you make it further in that job, not profession, but that's how you make it further in that job. You're not getting rid of the debt.
I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, and the chat's nailing it. Lisa, what it does is make colleges lower tuition for the degrees that take 4 years, but you would never make money to repay. Doctors, lawyers are not included because doctors, lawyers would make enough. Big bad. That's the effect of limiting availability of government money for those degrees. The money is there. It's just not going to be abused by the colleges. Bubba, currently 11 main degrees are considered professional under the draft rule. Those degrees, which are doctoral or medicine, orthopedic, whatnot, So, yeah, I mean, they're explaining it better than I am. What they're saying is certain degrees, you can go up to 250,000 in debt. Certain degrees, you go up to 100. And the argument is because you made $250,000 available, that's how much schools charge. If you make less than $250,000 available, they will charge less because they have to.
I just see it as people are going to go into debt anyway, because that's how much that the college is going to charge until you get a system in there to like other countries, colleges don't charge what our colleges charge.
Right, because we
just
make
like
all
drugs,
the money available.
Just like prescription drugs, just like manufacturing, just like all this other stuff. It's expensive to do stuff here in America. It doesn't need to be, but it is. That's just the way it is. And a lot of the people that are trying to get their education and stuff aren't born into it like some people are. Some people are born into it, so they got the money to do it. But for those that don't have the money to do it, again, I'll say it again, and I put it down. I don't think the government should be giving anybody anything, but there should be maybe the state, maybe there's a way that they could really push through the states to say, okay, fine, we'll take care of the education, but you have to give us back something for 4 to 6 years.
Well, what I'm saying is like student loan availability, and the problem with student loans are we made it too easy for people to get student loans. And now that's why there was all the forgive our student loans, because nobody made a decision. I'm going to go into X amount of debt to get this degree. And am I ever going to be able to pay it back? That is not a consideration in the current process. So in the current process, with the changes that came in, they're forcing you to say, okay, so the easy process where you're auto approved, if you're going to go into these degrees, you can only get 120,000. Now, if you want to get more of a degree, you need to do higher scrutiny. You need to go to a private lender and kind of give them your business plan, just like if you were doing a business loan. Like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what the job prospects are. Here's how I'll pay it back. And that's what they're changing. They're making it so you actually have to have more consideration for how much debt you want to have. But even a simple change like that, like all we changed is 15 degrees that can no longer auto get approved for 250,000. You can only get auto approved for 120, and people are losing their mind. And it's like, we expect them to fix like healthcare when we can't even fix something like this. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah. I guess so. Bubba. I don't know. I guess we used to have a school outside of the high school that people used to go to in the afternoon to learn trade. I guess.
Dude, have you seen what the people in the trades are making in California this year?
Like California, how much?
Licensed electricians are making like over 200 grand.
There you go.
And especially with some of the deportation stuff and some of, like right now, if you're in the trades in any of these areas that ICE has gone into, like you're writing your own check right now. Have a nice day.
So President Trump is going to be meeting with his Venezuela war cabinet this afternoon. We're going to see what happens with that. Okay.
Ooh, and Ukraine, aren't they coming to town too?
Something weird about that.
Did you see what happened with their number 2
agreement? Yeah.
You might want to tell the audience this was funny.
Yeah. The number 2, the chief of staff. The chief of staff over in Ukraine got his house was raided. In the dead of morning, I guess. Corruption charges are looming for him. Now, who is Trump's chief of staff?
Susie Wiles.
Okay, so imagine if Susie Wiles, if somebody
well, and this guy was more like Susie Wiles, Marco Rubio roles put in one. Their government's a little different than ours.
So imagine if Susie Wiles, you woke up and saw the FBI or the government raided her house. Well, It's $100 million for this dude. $100 million corruption. Now, you remember when Zelensky said, "Well, I don't know where that money is. I never seen it. I don't know where that." Oh, okay. Maybe this guy is going to start singing.
Yeah, they raided his house and he just said, "I'm going to go to the front lines. The troops need me." So this bureaucrat who's never, and of course, him and Zelensky, they've all got these millions and millions of dollars that nobody knows where it came from. And then I saw at the end of last week in the 20-some point peace plan that Trump was trying to flush out between the two, or Rubio was, the only one Ukraine agreed to or disagreed with was they asked for an auditing of all the war funds that everybody sent. And Ukraine disagreed with that one and instead said, we want to pardon everybody for any war crimes, financial or otherwise, or something like that. It's like, oh, this thing, the gig might be up over there. I don't know.
Well, this plan that Russia, I guess, wrote, I still don't know the specifics on it, but Putin came out and said that it's not. I don't think he wants to do it with Zelensky in charge.
Oh, Zelensky will be out of office as soon as the war's done.
Yeah, I mean, he said, I don't want to do a deal with somebody who is the illegitimate leader of a country. You know, I was like, oh.
As he continued. I mean, this war is going to go down as the biggest money laundering operation I think we've seen, almost rivaling the Somalis in Minnesota. Like, we're up to hundreds of millions in Minnesota.
Yep. All right, we got to go. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Will be December 2nd. We're going to talk about Jason's boy, Cash. A lot of stuff coming out. A lot of stuff coming out. New York Post, too. Miranda Devine. I follow her on social media, too. New York Post. Some stuff coming out about your boy.
He hasn't arrested anybody. We're coming up on a year. They can all go. I believed he would do it. I believed he would fix things. He hasn't.
And me, I'm like, I don't know. That beast is big. That beast is big.
He fought the law and the law won.
And the law won, yeah. Okay, gotta go. Don't forget to check out the DupreReport.com. And also, once again, Red Voice Media, check them out. Follow them on Rumble. Okay. And Jason, give me some last thoughts.
Well, hey, folks, going to be a fun December. Lots of cool things going on. Hope everybody had Thanksgiving. We should probably do Thanksgiving recap, Wayne. I never saw pictures of your turkey or any of that stuff.
I didn't see.
Yeah, no, I got nothing. I sent you a couple, and then I never got a reply. So I'm like, I'm going to give Wayne some space. He's probably spending time with the kids and his new girlfriend and dog or whatnot. So we'll have to get the recap tomorrow. But anyways, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Do us a favor, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the share button. Oh, and final thought too. Prayers out to Paul Reese. Last week he lost his dad. Oh. He always would take a lot of time going and spend time with his dad. He was in a nursing home and he finally passed away. So prayers out to Paul Reese.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how everything is, and
we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Oh man. Well, it's gonna be Merry Christmas, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Merry Christmas.